I just now clicked on the go live. That means we're being recorded from here on. And just have to hope Barb can catch up. So, oh, Chad. We're losing him again.
Yeah.
He's going to have to go out on his roof.
So, it's funny how that picture is showing through from behind when we're like this. Oh, there's Barb. See, all I got to do is like click on Barb's picture and she'll be up here and able to talk to us and stuff. But should I? Barb, by the way, you missed the part that, oh, well, you wouldn't have. Did you come on the direct link that I just put back there? Yeah, I can't hear you talking. I was hoping you'd nod your head. Because what I wanted to tell you, if you came in on YouTube, you'd want to mute YouTube before coming in.
There she is.
Chad keeps bouncing in and out. I think he's having Wi-Fi problems.
I tried to get in on my Kindle, but apparently, like our practice session I did on the phone, and so I went to the phone and it popped right up. So I can read my book now while we talk.
Oh, that was a couple things I wanted to mention. That's why I was going to bring people in backstage first. When you look to the bottom of the page, you see where you have like mute, stop cam and that. Mute is so you can but anyway, mute's good like if your phone rings or somebody's talking to you, you can click your microphone off and not be annoying the other people or sure. And the other one, stop cam. If you click that, you're still in here, you're part of the discussion and stuff. But like, that's I'd like for that, like, stop cam if you want to pick your nose or something. Or I thought of that, always mention that to people because I was talking to a friend of mine the one night and her son had wandered in, and afterwards she sent a message and said, is there a way you could edit him out? And I know there is, but I'd have to figure it out and stuff. But then I thought, well, didn't really need to save the discussion of just two of us talking, so I just deleted that. But yeah. Anyway, let's just start with Corgan. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Mom? I just got him.
Bingo. Now, how was it Bingo for being so nice? I'd say.
I'm gonna. Let me. Oh. I'm gonna type a message to Chad.
He just posted something about his internet.
Yeah, I was gonna tell him if he comes up and he could at least sit in chat and type to us. If it might be that this is straining it too much.
Yeah, I would have to say Bingo, and then I'd have to say her cooking. And then just talking about it was nice for me because she had a lot of memories of my grandparents and aunts and uncles. With her sense of humor.
Barb, you got something going on there. As soon as I brought you in, there's all kind of feedback. You didn't. You have YouTube muted?
I don't even have YouTube up, do I? Can you hear me, or is that the dog snoring you're hearing?
No, it was feedback,
But it's gone now?
well, it's clear when you're talking, but anytime anybody else is, I'm getting all kind of.
Well, it might be me.
It happened as soon as I brought Barb back in.
You know, I had to use, I opened it on my Kindle and it was still open on my phone at the same time and it made a bunch of noise. As soon as I closed my phone, it stopped at my end. Do you still hear craziness?
Let me see what happens when I talk. Yeah, see, I'm still getting something there. Are you guys hearing it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like it's one of yours is still is open, and so it's hearing what we say and rebroadcasting it. Oh, and there goes Chad.
I don't know what else I can do unless I just go back to my phone.
Let it get to.
Because I really don't need to see you people that well anyway. Okay, I'm leaving. I'll be right back.
Okay, it's not doing it now, is it?
No, see, it was definitely coming from her end.
Okay. Yeah, next time we do, I'll have my computer and it'll be easier.
Yeah, it's nice using my laptop because I have it on full screen.
Yeah.
And this is what I see then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It
So
does
say
have-
something, Barb.
Yeah.
Something, Barb? I heard that echo.
Yeah, now I hear an echo only when you talk.
I'm further away.
That one was clear. Anyway, Rick, why don't you say something about it? When Chad comes back, I'm going to tell him maybe he'll have to just stay and chat and say, "Oh, was Mary going to come, Barb?"
I don't know. I sent her a message, but I never heard back. Who knows with her? She might be out making venison for dinner. Who knows?
Okay. Anyway, Rick, you have the floor.
Yeah, well, like Sandy said, her cooking, I guess that always sticks in everybody's mind. But she had a sense of humor that a lot of people didn't notice. You know, like she liked to play some jokes, and she really enjoyed giggling about it too. Like, I don't know if Barb remembers her birthday cake that one year.
But that was just my last birthday. She was alive.
Yeah,
I still have it.
I don't remember what you talk about.
It was full. It was styrofoam.
Oh,
That was my last birthday.
that was Mom's idea to make that, put icing on it.
And nobody bothered to get a real cake. The only cake was styrofoam, and I did all the cooking that day.
That sounds about right.
Uh-oh.
what?
Oh, I thought it got quiet.
Uh,
You still got the floor, Rick?
Something else about Mom too was she was a very intelligent person. She loved to read, and she knew a lot of stuff that you didn't realize. You know?
Yeah, I always wonder what she might have done if she'd at least been able to finish high school.
Yeah.
One of us probably wouldn't exist.
Do we get to pick?
Oh,
I
what
was
if you,
trying to think of stuff, and it was just weird because it was just like all these like little snippets of, you know, I couldn't even like put like one in perspective. You know, I laugh because I always get this sideways look from Bob when I say things, and I'm like, "Are you gonna argue with Grammy Mucky?" You know, like he's like, "Well, why do I have to do it that way?" I'm like, "Because that's how Grammy says it's done." Like, pure, like use this spoon because that's the one Grammy says to use, or whatever. Just like what? You're not gonna challenge that. She said it. Period. Like you don't challenge that. But then I was thinking about things like um realizing like she was like human, like in ways where like when I got hit really hard on the back of the head with a rock, like the look in her eye, like she was appeared calm on the outside, but her face, she was, you know, the concern on her face, like the worry, like quick, get ice on your head. You know, of course we didn't go to the emergency room or anything because nobody does that, you know, back then or whatever. And I couldn't place like one, just all these little, like you said, knowledge that she, and now they come true. Now it's like study shows wearing jeans too tight are bad for a woman's insides. It's like my mother told me that when I was 12. You know, I thought she just didn't want my jeans tight, or, you know, now they're saying she's like, that's not good for a woman, you know, or the onion snow. And I was like, okay, well, that's the onion snow. Why? Because that's, you know, it's fertilizer, great fertilizer. But who knew that then? You know, I didn't challenge it. She said it. That's the way it was. Period. You know, I could all these little tiny quotes. How many? If there's a ring around the moon, how many stars are in that ring? Means how many days it's going to storm. Stuff like that. And now they say these things are true.
Yeah.
How did she know that? You know, like that kind of just those things. You know.
I'll tell you one that I repeat to people a lot of times, and it's actually kind of Barb's story. Oh, there, got an echo there again. Anyway, that one time when Barb was down, and it was, you know, I think well, Mom was still living here, so it wasn't too far towards the end, however you want to say it. But anyway, they're here talking, and you know how Daddy for many years, you know, lived away and only came home weekends. And Barb said to Mom the one time, she goes, when Daddy worked away like that, did you ever worry about him? Mom says, well, yeah, you know, you worry that something could happen driving home, especially like in the wintertime and that. And Barb said, no, no, no. I mean, did you ever worry about him like hooking up with another woman? And no hesitation at all. Didn't even have to think about it. She goes, oh, no, I always knew he loved me. You know, there was never any doubt in her mind. And I know it's true too, because I mean, you know, I worked those couple years on his construction jobs and there was never any sign of anything like that. But she, it was just like the total faith, you know, that and another one that's actually, oh, hello. Uh, um, Whenever she was in the hospital there towards the end and she was talking to Alan, and I don't remember what Alan said, but she said to him, I have to go. Jean misses me.
Yep. Yeah. It's weird that we're having this today because I lost 2 friends this week. And when I was trying to reflect on it, I said, you know what's bothering me the most about this is people lost their moms. You know, it's like because they were moms, it upset me so much more. And it took me, I had to like do some self-analysis and really get to that. You know, they were both old. They were both really sick. Neither one of them, you know, nobody wants to be like that ever. Even if you were 20, you don't want to live like that. And I just think, this is not about me. This is not about me. And then it was like, yeah, it kind of is, because that's what's watching people I love hurt so much and being able to relate to the fact that that was their mom. I don't care how old you are. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how old you are, you know? I don't know. It's tough. But you say daddy, and that was the other thing. I felt like it was always like, even though he was gone for so long, I've still, like, in my head always said together. Like, they just always seemed like they were, like, they're matched, you know? Like joking or whatever. People would, oh, that Gene Lucky, he's a jokester. Well, in the back, and they didn't know that he had, like, somebody in the backstage actually being the one pushing it or whatever. What about cards, Sandy? I know you'd love sitting next to her cards, right?
Yeah, cards, which I hated to sit beside her because she always, especially Sorry Charlie, always got me. I was gonna say, she was a good bluffer. Like, she could be trying to fool you and have a poker face. Like, she was real good about being, going along with a prank and being totally serious. Like, she was good at that.
Yeah, not unsuspected.
Yep. I know the first couple of times I was like, very mucky. I never would have expected that from you.
And then watch her laugh, which made it even more fun, was her laughing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mary laughs like that. Like her whole body goes up and down.
Oh, speaking of which, speak the name and it appears.
Hi.
Hi, Mary.
Mary.
You are allowed to talk.
Oh, I was on mute.
There she is. All these years, and finally there's a mute button. Who's speaking?
Hi, there's Mimi and Uncle Rick and Sandy and Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
As always, it's always nice and quiet in Mary's house.
Can you hear? They're playing Jurassic Park.
Dinosaur Jurassic Park.
Dinosaur Jurassic Park.
Yes, a Lego.
Is it a real game or they made it up?
No, it's video.
Oh. So hey, Mary, that deer thing was cool. Did you see that, Sandy?
What?
That was really crazy, right? Why aren't these working?
A deer hit Mary's car. Actually, Bob said you need to wash your car. By
the time I got to town, the image was gone because the road is so dirty. So I was glad I got a picture when I did.
No,
So
I
everybody,
didn't see that.
keep your eye on Chad's in chat again, so he can chime in from there. So Mary, what's the first memory you have when you think of Grammy?
Oh, it's yeah. I was crocheting and I forgot that we were doing this today. First memory of Grammy?
Not the first memory, just the first thing that comes
Just the first
to your
thing
mind.
that I think of. When I think of Grandma, I always think of her laugh. That's the first thing that I always think of, is just her silent laugh and her whole body just going up and down.
I just said that exact thing and your face popped up.
Really?
Exactly.
funny.
Yeah.
That's what I think of her.
Sandy was saying about like her poker face when it came to pulling tricks and stuff.
She was the best trick player.
See, I
And you
don't.
could never pull one on her because she like didn't react. She just always expected every trick.
Like the first time she met Joey.
Yeah, oh, there you are.
Yeah,
It was like,
what are you doing here? Yeah.
what are you doing here? Nothing surprised her.
That's what I always think of when I watch those videos of soldiers coming home and stuff like that. And I thought, we've done that to her, you know. She'd went, "Oh, you're here, huh?
Yeah.
When,
Oh,
when are
look
you
at
leaving?"
you made it
she'd be
home.
the worst one.
So I don't know why you talk about tricks because I always think about what a great cook she is, except for that time when she cooked Thanksgiving dinner and the turkey shrunk. She, I don't know if everybody knows this story or not, but it deserves to be recorded for posterity anyhow. Thanksgiving dinner, and what she did, you know, she always, when she would cook the turkey, she had it in that pan and she would wrap it in foil, okay? And so the one time she cooked the turkey, it was all stuffed and stuff. And when she brought it out to the table, it was still in that pan with the foil all formed over. You know, you could see the form of the turkey under. And everybody's sitting down at the table ready to eat. And she opens up the foil, and here the turkey had shrunk down to this little wee thing. And there was this little shrunken turkey, and they're all stuffed. And she's like, "Oh, it shrunk." And I remember one of us, and I don't want to mention Barb by name because it's embarrassing, was like, "Oh my God, what happened to the turkey?" Ah! What she had done was she had secretly also cooked a Cornish hen. When the turkey was done, she carefully pulled the aluminum foil back and took the turkey out and put the Cornish hen in there and closed it up again.
That's funny.
She said even Daddy was like what I like surprised. Like what'd she do?
Yeah, well, he was in on it because when she brought that in, he kept giving her the eye, like, why are you doing this? Because he was expecting, you know, when he saw the shape of the real turkey, he was giving her the eye, like, why did you know you were supposed to do this? And then when she uncovered it, then surprised him too.
The big reveal. Well, turkey's my favorite. I didn't want to share that little tiny thing.
When you talk about her laugh, another thing I always tell to people, it's a multi-generational story. And I'm sure my memory is totally clear on this because it always is. But I remember when we decided to take that trip on the Gateway Clipper and we go out to Pittsburgh, and me and Mary and Barb were sitting on this bench, and Mom was sitting sort of across the way from us.
Guys, turn that down.
She's sitting across from away from us, and next to this totally random guy, and they're sitting there, talking. And Barb's like, "What is it with her? She just talks to strangers." She hasn't. And later on in the day, we're doing something, and I'm there talking to Mary, and she goes, "Look at my mother. Look at her over there. I've told her, you don't talk to strangers, you know." And of course, later in the day, you see Mary off just talking to random people. And okay, now this isn't a Grammy story, but I got to throw this in here on that subject. At time, one time when they were down for 4th of July, and we went over to Bland's Park to the water park. And I think it's the time Carly was down, and Mary and Carly were in the water park.
Me and Shauna. It was all three of us.
Okay. And me and Barb were out there sitting on the bench, and I decided to go over to Austin's, and I don't know if I got a drink or what. And I come back, and Barb's there sitting on the bench talking to this girl, lady, whatever. She was probably about like Barb's age. And I come up and they're talking, and this girl is talking about her husband sleeping with the neighbor and just all this kind of weird sexual stuff. And I thought, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, Barb ran into somebody she knew. I thought, and the girl did mention something about OCO. So I thought, oh, she must have gone to school with her. And the thing that amazed me is she didn't stop talking about this stuff when I came, because I thought, oh, this is, women talking. And she kept talking about this stuff for a while. And then she wandered off. And I said to Barb, did you go to school with her? And she said, I never saw her before today. She was some kind of relative of Helen Blake, I think, but didn't know that ahead of time. But yes, she just sat there and started talking about all this really weird personal stuff. But it was strange. And there was something else I thought of when yins were saying. Anybody else got one? There's plenty of them out there.
I was thinking about how much fun it always was when her and her sisters were all like in the same, like together.
Fun.
Well, I mean, you had to take a pill, but it was always fun because she'd be like, Helen, like she would yell at them and they would listen to her. She was always in charge, but then they'd laugh, and it was always like giving Catherine, like when she took the flashlight away from Catherine, and then she goes to hand it back to her, and I go, don't give it back to her. And she shows me in her pocket. She pulled her pocket out, and she has the batteries in her hand. She took the batteries out and said, here, Catherine. Gave her a flashlight back. Like a child, It just, it was so funny. It was like, don't give her flashlight back.
She was the matriarch.
Yeah, even though she wasn't the oldest daughter,
even when she wasn't. In 1994, when I was in Hilton Head at Johnny and Carolyn's wedding, which R.I.P. to their wedding, I guess, but we went with Norman and I went with Uncle Richard and Aunt Darlene to Savannah. And I asked him, I said, tell me, about your mother. What kind of woman was she? And he's like, well, your mother, right? That was my mother. Like your mother was my mother. Like everybody kind of looked at her as like their mother.
But by the way, I just saw this. I'm looking at that banner, that pennant there above my head. 1960 Barnum and Bailey Circus, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Wow.
Oh man, there was another one. As you're talking, I thought, oh, okay, that's what I was going to say. Now I can't remember what it was I was going to say.
I remember we didn't go to the circuits itself. Well, we might have. I don't remember that part. But we went while they were setting up. So it's like they were unloading the trains and all the animals.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a little picnic. But I remember going there.
I know the thing I was going to mention when you were talking is another thing I always say to people is, and I have a specific memory of an incident, but you know how when we were kids and that, and their group was always getting together, and you had Fred and Ann and Hap and Stell, and there was like Tony and Nancy and all these, and Mr. and Mrs. Mucky. I remember everybody always called them, and I can't remember them ever going, "That's Mrs. Mucky to you." But I specifically remember the picture that's poking, that's kind of showing behind there, up there at Pen 5 one time. There was, barbecue thing going on. I remember I was there, and there was another kid said to his mom, "Mom, can I have another soda?" And she says, "Go ask Mrs. Mucky." It's like, but it was just a funny thing about them, how they were always Mr. and Mrs. to, it was like everybody, the other parents would say, "That's Mr. Mucky, that's Mrs. Mucky." It was.
I pointed out a few weeks ago, I came to the realization that she was Grammy Mucky. Not like Grammy Mary, or like everyone refers to their grandparents by like either just Gram or Grandma or like their name. And even though like she wasn't like stern or strict, or like I always referred to her as Grammy Mucky by her last name too, and I like that was so weird.
And
Well,
now
but
your
you-
kids do the same thing.
So, Silas, for the longest time, that's my Grammy. That's what he would say when he was a baby. He was able to pick her out of any picture, even with all of her sisters and everything. Even when I couldn't tell which one was which, he always knew.
And they don't have any other Grammys, right? It's like she was the only Gram.
That's Grammy. My Grammy. That's
It's good to see you, Sandy, and I'm glad you're here because Graham loved you too. You know,
I love her. We had so many good times. Remember the time we all watched movies together, you, Ellie, and I, and her, that night, and we had that Jeff Dunham video. He was doing all those jokes, and
Yep. We put
everyone like nothing went over her head.
because remember we moved a chair up so she could hear really good.
Yep.
We were going to watch a little bit and then go ahead and go. We ended up, I think, watching 2 whole videos. I think
Yeah.
she was hysterical, laughing. We had pierogi pizza that night. Yep, I remember that. Hysterical. How about the night I was flipping through the channels and I think it was like Spencer Tracy movie. And I said, "Oh, you want to watch this?" She goes, "No, go back. I like that other one more." I was like, "Which one?" I went back, Dirty Dancing. Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
I like that guy.
Yeah. I was like, oh, "Okay." And she's like tapping her foot. She was all into Dirty Dancing. I wanted to watch Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but no. That always surprised me. I'm like, "You're full of surprises."
Something I thought of that's a little more family history than anything. But when Rick was saying about watching the circus set up, I had a memory of, it's probably like my oldest memory. I have a few scattered ones of Connecticut, but anyway. And I always remembered this, but I wasn't sure, is it a real memory? Because, you have things from when you're a kid, and it might be you remember it because someone talked about it, or it could be a memory, of a dream that ended up, you decided was real or whatever. So the one time a couple of years ago, I asked Rick, I said, "Do I remember this right?" But my memory is it was when we were still in Bridgeport, so I was like 3 years old. And I'm pretty sure I was on my father's shoulders, and we were watching this parade like go by. And everybody was clapping. This guy was coming by like in a convertible. And it was like, "Oh, there he is, everybody." And I remember saying, "Who is that?" And I remember Mom saying, and she said either he is or he is going to be the president. We saw JFK.
Wow.
wow, that's so cool.
Yep.
And
You
I'm
guys
thinking,
had all the fun before I was born.
yeah, it says that's the answer is in the question. But I think it must have been either when he was campaigning or maybe, probably before he was actually president, because why would he have bothered with Bridgeport after he got elected? But yeah, it's kind of cool.
You remember that, Rick?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was standing up on a, and it was like a light pole or something. I was kind of like to see over the crowd. I could, as he drove by.
That's cool. I'd love to have seen pictures of that,
Well, we didn't all have camera phones back then.
Seeing about mom and movies and TV. You couldn't beat her in Wheel of Fortune, though. She knew those answers before anybody else.
That one that I always mentioned, I can remember sitting here. I mean, it was like we'd watch Wheel and Jeopardy. It was like Wheel was for her and Jeopardy was for me. And I always remember specifically that one time the category was like people or something. And there was just a few letters up. And she goes, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And I was like, okay, I get Brad Pitt. How the hell do you know Angelina Jolie? And I had no idea yet what they were. Oh, geez. I always, something keeps coming into my mind. And then.
What was that?
Clock. Yep. 3 bells.
My clock?
Oh, your clock?
I know. You say about with movies and television and stuff like that. I always remember coming home one night and Carson had already been on, or maybe, it must have been over by then. It's probably coming home from a movie or something. And she said, oh, there's these guys on there. And she said, they had these like long beards, but boy, they were really good singers. And I thought, and I checked the TV guide to be sure, and it's like, yep, Grammy Mucky is a fan of ZZ Top.
She was always a modern, modern person, even though, like she really did keep up with like modern ideas and stuff.
Well,
remember when she got her first pair of slacks? That was like so exciting.
You know what's funny about that? When I was out in San Diego and staying with Lila and them, and Lila, the one time she mentioned about, I never wear slacks because mom would never wear slacks. The time Lila visited, there's mom running around in slacks.
The slacks not earrings.
Okay. Speaking of her being modern, I might as well repeat one of my favorite stories here. So to be part of the thing is, I still remember the time that Andrew called from San Diego and says, Uncle Dan, I want to tell you something. He says, so far, I've only told my mother. And, I forget what he said, but I'm gay. And I said, no, you're not, Andrew. He said, what do you mean? I said, Andrew, I've known you all your life. I said, you're a lousy dresser and you're not that good looking. You can't be gay. But anyway, we talked for a bit and he says, the only thing is I don't know how to tell Grammy. And of course, I knew what that meant. Tell Grammy for me. So the next morning, we're there in the kitchen. And I said, well, Andrew called last night. She goes, yeah, what's he up to? And I said, well, you know his friend Paul. I said, you know, they're not really just friends. And she goes, what, did he decide to be gay? It's like, oh yeah, I guess you could put it that way. But and she goes, yeah, I figured. And that was the end of that. That's all that mattered. Whenever they came, there was just another person for her to give orders to. And, you know,
Well, the first time she met Joe, she goes to Joe. She's like, "Well, when am I gonna get some great grandbabies?" And Joe's like, he's like, "We're not married or anything." He's like, and she goes, "It doesn't work that way."
When Andrew was in California and they were having that Friendsgiving, and he's like, I'll make pie because my grandma made the best pumpkin pies, and I'll get her recipe and I'll bring the pies. So he's in the grocery store and he like gets a pie pumpkin, he gets spices, and he grabbed it. So he called her up. He goes, what's your recipe for a pumpkin pie? I'm making this pie. And she says, okay, well, go over by, where the fruit is. I think it'll be there. Do you see a can that says like Libby's? Just add milk and, the milk and eggs. He goes, yeah. She goes, that's it.
Yeah.
He was like, what? He was ready to like cook a pumpkin and do the whole thing. And he was like, out of a can? He was
that's
like, everything I've ever known has been a lie.
That's like I always tell people about how have Mary Mucky bring the chocolate chip cookies. She makes the best chocolate chip cookies. I don't know what she puts in them. She's got this special recipe. Recipe came off the side of a Jell-O box. You know,
I made Mary Mucky cookies the other day, and they actually came out like Mary Mucky cookies. But I ate them all. I'd show you and prove it. So I can't even prove it.
well, look at the what's the word? The tradition that's been handed down now for 4 generations of the Skekety House pierogi making.
It's funny
What
because
I think is funny about the pierogi making is that I don't enjoy making pierogies, and Mommy doesn't enjoy making pierogies. So everyone else makes the the ones that aren't like the pierogi people are the ones that do the pierogies, and we like I hide in the kitchen the whole time.
we like supervise. Joey is the best dough roller ever. Like he's a good dough. Yeah, they stay to it with it until the end.
And we use the pierogi forms that she gave you guys, that she like teased you about using. Like, oh, you're cheating.
Those things.
Even though she's the one that purchased them.
That's like there's a couple of things I always think about. I can remember when I had the computer and I'd hear her over there, she'd on the phone, and obviously somebody would say something about, oh, what's Danny doing or something like that, and she'd go, oh, he's on that thing again. He's on. But then she the one day she gave me this. She said, oh, I thought that'd be good for like brushing that off there where the dust gets, or another thing. I remember her making a comment one time about always making pizza or whatever, something she'd say it like, and then she comes home from the store and she bought me a pizza cutter. Yeah. So it's just like funny how she would like make these comments, but then sort of like support what you're doing.
I might not like it, but I'll support you in that decision.
Well, there's something. I keep thinking of things and then I lose them.
What about like how she always was with the babies? It didn't matter. Like it was about the babies. When there was a baby around, that's what it was about. She'd be so happy. you know, like little Chad, little Chad, little Chad, little Chad. She was just, and then when baby Joey, she had to tell every nurse about baby Joey. You know, it was just so much fun. Like when she
That was,
found out Mary was pregnant and she was telling Rick, well, you should call Mary.
no, well, you were on the phone with her when I came to tell you. So I was like, is that Grammy? Perfect. Give me the phone. And she was just about to go with Uncle Rick to some sort of church flea market or something.
A bazaar.
And I said, I'm like, don't tell anybody. It's a secret. We're not telling anybody. So she's with Uncle Rick and she's like picking out baby stuff. And Uncle Rick's questioning her about it, going like, why are you buying baby things? And she's like, oh, I like it. And she like, didn't say anything. Like, that was fun. That's funny. And then she like giggled about that when she told me. She was like, I was buying stuff and he was asking why. I'm like, well, you could have told him. But like she loved her like secrets and tricks.
Yeah, I was just thinking about when Barb came down and stayed for a couple weeks and that. I remember I was over there and I go to come home. She says to Barb, you should walk him home, make sure he gets home okay. Barb's like, and then I walk back alone. It's like,
yeah,
well,
then who's going to walk me home?
let's make sure Danny gets home okay.
Or wheeling her into surgery. We're like all worried sick about her. Everybody's giving her hugs and kisses. They go to wheel her out the door. Doctors, nurses, people everywhere. Wait. Everything stops. Everybody's quiet. She goes, make sure you wash your brother's pants. It's like, I think my brother can learn how to use the washing machine. She was very much trained to like take care of the men. Women take care of the men.
Well, you know, I was thinking of too, with the thing about how she accepted Andy and Paul and that, and same way about like, I mean, she would say things sometimes that you go, Mom, when she go like, oh, those people love colorful clothes or something like it. But she had no problem with people of any race or whatever. And you know what's funny is I'd never thought about it with her until I told the Uncle Joe story of when he was when they went and they met, like they were hanging out with Jack Nicholas and stuff like that. And when I asked him about it, he said, they're just people, Dan. And that's when I realized, oh, that's what Mom was like. She didn't care if you were the town drunk or the president of the United States. She's going to treat you the same, you know.
Your people.
It's funny, we should have made this about Daddy. At the 16th will be the anniversary he died.
Yeah.
In 79.
Well, you know, that's something I was thinking of. I was going to do like a thing of before we start. I was going to say, okay, now here's some stuff, and I was going to mention about being able to mute the mic and turn your camera off and stuff. And I also was going to say, I was going to say, like we'll try to stay sort of close to the topic, but I even thought I was going to say, well, there's no way you can talk about her without talking about her husband, But, yeah, it's like you said about her sense of humor. That was the thing. Everybody knew he was a jokester, and he was an actual jokester. He would tell jokes and things like that. And very few of them realized that she had that sort of sly humor. She wasn't just like, la la la, but yeah, she was good with the gotchas.
Remember when Daddy put that toilet in between the bathroom and the back room on Lingle Street? Well, something happened. It wasn't working one time. So him and Uncle Rudy were shoved in there. working and trying to figure it out, fix it. And I'll never forget, I was young. Mom goes in, well, don't you just have to do this and this? And she did that and it fixed it. It worked. I remember the look on both their faces, like, get out of here, you know? You are no longer needed here. It was just so funny. They looked at her just like, after they worked a couple out, probably missed the big game because of it or something.
If you watch some of those videos that Chad posted with her teasing you with the dog, like poking the dog to make Buttons growl at you, and
Yeah,
then
fighter.
the one I'd love to have just a little snippet out on the front porch. Daddy was on the chair and Mom went over and kind of like
Sat
and they kissed. You know, it's like, you know, it's just like that was them, you know.
the one thing that stuck out to me on those videos was Danny's birthday, and you were at the head of the table in Daddy's seat. Apparently, we were singing happy birthday because the cake was lit and everything. And Daddy reached over. Danny, did you catch that? Daddy reached over and like grabbed your hand and squeezed your hand. I'd love to know what he said. But it was just such a loving gesture. It makes me want to cry right now thinking about it. You know, it's just like, holy smokes, if you're going to wrap up in one vision of what kind of person he was, you know, it was just such a second long gesture that said everything. You know, it's just like, so
Apparently, I had missed. I didn't realize there was a number 3. I only saw 2 of them.
well, that one has a birthday for you in it. Oh, you see, I didn't watch this one.
There's green. It's that one. No.
Yep, love those babies.
No, I'm not taking this from you.
Remember how Buttons, when we'd be sitting there on a Friday night, and Buttons would all of a sudden get up and go to the back door, and 5 minutes later, Daddy'd come pulling in. Oh, you know what I was going to say?
Look at that.
I was going to say about pierogies. When we were kids, she used to make 3 different kinds of pierogies. She'd make, you know, the regular potato with cheese, and she'd make potato with sauerkraut, and she'd make just sauerkraut. And each one she'd fold them different, so you know which was which. You know, because some of us don't eat sauerkraut, but yeah, she made 3 different kinds.
This year,
Still my favorite.
this year we put purple potatoes in a bunch of them. And we're thinking how she would, because you couldn't tell that they were purple potatoes until you looked inside of them. We were thinking how she would laugh.
I think this must be, did you see that at the very beginning there? That happiness. I love that. Let me start I just love the way this one starts right there. Look at her laughing. Do you remember, speaking of Hap and Stell, that one time Hap mentioned they were talking, and his mother had never given him an Easter basket. So Mom surprised him and made him an Easter basket, just like she'd always make for us with the chocolate rabbit and all that stuff. And I think he about cried, you know?
Hey, I have that pot.
I always remember looking through pictures and stuff how yeah, see, I didn't see this one. How she used to always say, you always take a picture of me in my apron. It's always have to be standing at the stove.
Oh, is that sweet? Yeah, see, look right there.
Yeah, you know what
I
though?
love that.
The thing is though, I think he was like being like funny, sort of like it was one of those where you go, oh, how are you? Kind of, he was like messing around.
Why would you say that? Why wouldn't you just let me have my minute?
Because I recognized the look on his face. Remember him and Chad remind me of Rick and Toby. Like when Chad was little, how he would follow him around and they'd go out and Chad would graze the garden and stuff.
Buddies.
So it's Daddy would be going down to the IGA, or he'd drive 2 blocks out of the way, pick up Chad, take him to the store, and then hours later we'd have to go pick him up because he'd take him home with him then.
Apparently, I like that hat.
Who's the other girl? Who is that?
That's Chad's mother, Joni.
Oh,
If you're still here, Chad, by the way, I'd love that you put these up. That's great. You could tell this is when the way Buttons, when he was cringing there, you could tell it was when not long after got him, because remember how skittish and stuff he was when they brought him home.
Couldn't even rattle a newspaper.
Yeah. Do you know I'm the one that trained him out of being afraid of newspapers? I would sit there next to him on the couch and I'd put the newspaper like between us and he would sit there and shivering and stuff. And after a while I'd move it. And finally I got to where I actually like draped the newspaper over him. And at first he would sit there and he'd be like shivering, afraid. And after a while he got used to being around newspapers again, because obviously the people that had him must have beat him with the newspaper a lot.
Look, I remember that so well. Like coming home from school, there's her famous icing, Mary.
And the magic flowers, you see how they went poof?
I stole a yellow rose from the funeral I was at this week, and people looked at me. I go, my dad always got me yellow roses. Look at him. He's looking for me.
Get away from my mommy. Yeah. And it's funny, it was mostly just you. Somebody else could sit down next to her and he wouldn't freak out that way.
Sibling jealousy.
oh my goodness.
He never took too much flesh.
I always remember the story of Buttons that one time was out front and he'd gone across the street. And, across the street, there was that kind of a high curb. And Barb yells, "What are you doing? You know you're not allowed over there." And he comes back and he jumps down off that curb and he sort of stumbled. And Barb goes, "Oh, did you hurt yourself?" And he comes over on 3 legs and he's limping. And Barb's like, "Oh, no." And she pets him and stuff, And then he goes walking away and he's limping on a different leg. He was playing hurt so she wouldn't yell at him.
Look how long my hair is, Mary.
That was my thing that I got at Universal Studios. People will look at these and they'll go, why wasn't Rick in any of these pictures? And like, well, who do you think was holding the camera?
Or I was thinking maybe you were going to say because he was working in like Missouri or Alabama or working.
No, this was Rick had that Super 8 camera.
I love the outfits.
I know. I'm looking at Karen McDonald's vest. It was such a popular. Her mother must have crocheted that for her, I bet.
I was telling people about them and without the names. A couple times I've said, well, Barb had this friend when they're like in high school or something, and they'd be going to a basketball game or whatever. And the game, started at like 7. And Karen's mother would be driving them, and she'd want to leave at like 5 o'clock just to go to Phillipsburg, because something could happen. There's Fred.
Ken Miller.
I was thinking that's who that was.
He quite the hound dog.
Is that Ellie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot her and Buckshot were hooked up for a little while. Still. That's what. How I can't. I couldn't believe how young like Mary and Larry looked in these. Oh, Uncle Rudy. They're great. Just
Everybody
all
in that
that-
picture. Everybody right there is dead.
great seeing all that laughter and stuff. I've told people how we never had like babysitters. They'd get together every Saturday, and it'd be like usually like the men would be in the kitchen, and the women would be in the dining room, and all the kids would be in the living room. It was like,
I don't know who that is. Who's that girl?
I don't know. That's what I was trying to see.
Oh, a Yastro, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Gail's sister. Can't think of her name right now, but
yeah, these are down. I'm pretty sure that's Gusky's kitchen there.
yeah, that's Daddy was running the camera.
Well, one Saturday they were at one house. The next Saturday they'd go to a different house, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Then later on, like in the summertime, of course, Jers became the place to always go since they had that big field and everything. You always take pictures of me in the kitchen. I
Oh
had
my
totally
gosh.
forgot about this game until I saw this.
Crossfire.
Yeah.
I remember getting a blister on my trigger finger.
That's a pretty Christmas tree.
That's those icicle drapes that you can't find anymore. You get anywhere.
God, how
My spin art.
oh, there they go.
Bloody nose.
Chad said he's glad that that's baby Jennifer there, right? Chad's glad we're naming the picture and the people in the pictures.
No, that's not baby Jennifer. That's
Isn't it?
Sharon Miller. Sharon
Oh,
Cross Miller, it looks like.
okay. Oh, is that when Yins were just engaged? She flashed her ring there.
Yeah.
Look at there's Daddy. Look at that
Yeah.
chair. I'd love to have that chair.
You know, it's funny. Whenever I saw that,
Rich
Dixon there.
Dixon.
Whenever I saw that early in the way he flipped his thumb like that, that's what I'm always doing when I'm on panels with people, and someone will come in and they'll go, "Oh, hey, Muckster," and Do the thumb.
Hey, stop it.
Upper, Lenny.
Jonathan, Michael.
Stop it. You're talking to your babies and I'm talking to mine.
Those were good.
Donna Oswald says one time she came to her, she was hanging with, we were playing or something. And when we went in the house, maybe, I don't know, to get a drink of water, or the hose wasn't working, maybe, or something, I don't know. And she goes, wow, something smells really good. And it was probably that white pot. Who knows? Cooking away, bubbling away. I go, yeah, it really does. It's not, maybe it's tongue. And she was like, what? I took the lid up. I go, yeah. Oh, it's tongue. That's going to be. She said she'll never, as long as she lives, forget how grossed out she was. She was like, tongue. And I'm like, yeah, look, it was a tongue. She said she went home. She was like, you'll never believe what monkeys are having for dinner tonight. They were probably having like something like sloppy joes and French fries, and we're having tongue.
It's always
Well, Rick,
funny.
how about when you said to Mom, you want to get liver? She's like, yeah, I don't like that. It's like,
Yeah.
but we ate it like twice a week our whole life. What do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, we always had to eat it. She forced us to eat it, and then finally I ended up liking it, and I made it to one time. Hey, I'm making liver. Do you want some? Oh, I don't care for liver.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like it too now, too.
You know what's weird when you talk about that is I don't remember ever being forced to eat liver. And I remember that time. And now again, tell me how much of this memory is invented, but I can remember the time when we had dinner and it was probably peas that Barb did not want to eat. And Daddy said, you're going to sit there until you eat all those peas. And the way I tell this story that I remember it, I can remember us being like in the living room, and every once in a while someone would get up to go get a glass of water or go to the bathroom or something, walk by and you'd sneak a spoonful of peas, but I don't remember ever, because there's like a lot of, like, I don't like cabbage and stuff. I don't remember ever that, oh, you're going to eat that.
I remember Daddy went, we were still at the table. Daddy went in the bathroom. He came out of the bathroom just as Ricky was reaching across the table.
Yep.
Am I right? And Ricky
Yeah.
got more trouble than I did. And I left the table and he was married with a child or something.
Yeah, I was already married. Yeah, and I got eating her peas. I still love peas.
I don't remember. That was like the only time I ever remember like being like forced to eat something. I don't remember even eating them. Ricky must have had a big spoon. I don't know, but that was like the only time that I ever remember being, you have to eat that. And I was the same with my kids. Try it, but if you don't like it, that's like, I'm not going to make you gag. And I, to this day, I can't even stand the smell of, I'll eat peas out of a garden fresh or pea pods in Chinese food. And that's like as close as you can get me. Canned peas gross me out. And Mary can tell you, I was never a force. You have to eat that or you won't leave this table. If anything, I'd be like, finish your milk and you can go, like finish your milk and you're okay or whatever. But
I can remember coming home one time and I could hear Daddy yelling, and it was obvious he was having an argument. And I thought, this cannot possibly be true. He cannot possibly be having an argument with his baby girl, the light of his life, oh, me and Daddy. And it was, and I started saying something. We're like in the dining. Mom goes, shh, don't do it. And I don't know what it was about, but I always remember the Barb gone, well, I'll just leave. And he's like, good, get your bag. I'll help you pack. It's like, I don't know what was going on, but boy, it was.
I remember.
Right.
You know what it was? I asked Mom if I could go up on the hill with the kids Like, how everybody went, the neighbors. And she said, no, she wanted me to hang around by the house. So I went out on the porch and I said, Daddy, can I go play up on the hill? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So then Mom came out and said, where'd Barbara go? He goes, oh, I told her she'd go play. She goes, I told her she couldn't. And the next thing everybody in Osceola Mills heard was, Barbara! And I knew, like, coming out of the glass tree to the ground, like, I'm pretty sure my feet didn't touch the ground. I got to the bottom of the hill. Daddy was standing on the other side of the road, and I run across the road and almost got hit by a car. And Mom said that made him more mad and upset and scared than he was, because it was like, don't play one parent against the other when everybody could actually. But you know what he did that night? Called Ricky to come over, went and got pizza, because pizza wasn't normal then, it wasn't an everyday thing. And I wasn't allowed to come downstairs. And all I could smell was like pizza. You guys are having so much fun.
How old were you?
Maybe 10, 9. Not very old, because I was really well behaved, believe it or not. But that is something, like, I still remember it. The point was made, right? You don't play one parent against the other or whatever. Plus, if you want to be part of a pizza party, you better behave yourself. Now, I don't know what they would do now, because pizza wouldn't have that, because the smell, and Barbara couldn't have any. So that was punishment, because that pizza was a huge deal. You didn't get pizza every day,
Used to go clear up to Moon's and Smoke Run to get pizza.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. It wasn't like you went down. Oh, well, there was a pizza shop in town, right?
Yeah,
that lady had that pizza shop with the 10-cent jukebox.
Yeah, but the special pizza was up at Moon's.
And sometimes he would treat us. We'd go down to, what's his name? We just saw
Caruso?
him.
Oh,
The steak hoagies from whatchamacallit down there.
Rich Dixon.
Yeah, remember those?
Those were good steaks.
What made them so good, I wonder? The bread? It was the bread. No additives. Back in the day, there were no preservatives.
No. 65 cents, I remember. Yeah.
For a steak hoagie?
Yep.
I was thinking about picking berries, going up M5. And she was always really on us about watching for snakes, rattlesnakes. But I mean, mop buckets of freaking blueberries. It'd be like, don't eat any, don't eat one, or you won't come home with any, I'll be right back. How do I
click the thing that says stop cam? And you could mute too if you want. I keep having so many. What?
I was going to say, you said Chad is on here? I just can't see him.
Yeah. He, I guess his Wi-Fi is acting up. That's why I said maybe he'd be able to at least sit and chat, because it doesn't use up the bandwidth then. Are you going to say hello, Chad?
Hi, Chad. That's how I was going to.
Nobody ever taught your daughter any kind of manners.
Me?
No,
My daughter?
Yeah. Who raised her?
Wolves. I thought you were talking about my daughter's daughter, because she's raising herself and everybody else around her.
She's in charge.
Well, when she was standing there, I was going to ask what she's baking today.
She doesn't know, but we're gonna be baking cinnamon rolls in a little bit.
By the way, I love that last time I sent a package and you said, Mary, or you said, Ava, we got a package. And she says, oh, that must be my cookies.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
how
that's my
she knew.
cookies.
Yeah.
Well, these
How
are the
she
ones I
knew.
needed.
How she, yeah, just what I needed. It's like how she knew it'd be cookies rather than biscuits or
Bob can tell
cake
you
mix.
how.
Or,
Bob says we're all witches and
Oh.
that she has the most power.
And
See-
and Joe says that Bob spells wrong.
I was just gonna say, obviously you inherited Grammy's hearing because you gotta.
I heard that wrong somehow, but Grammy one time, the phone rings. We were still over on Lingle Street, and this lady's like, "Hey, I'm so and so. Joyce Smith. I knew your mother back in Bridgeport. I'm in Phillipsburg right now. I thought I'd give her a call. I'm staying at the Harbor Inn. Here's my number. Blah blah blah." And I was like, "Wow, how cool is that?" An old friend looked her up. This is so neat. So mom comes home from wherever, and I go, "I'll never believe who called." She goes, "Was it Joyce Smith from Bridgeport?" I was like, "How'd you know?" She goes, "Oh, I dreamt about her last night." But she did that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And I have premonitions a lot. Mary has them more than me. And forget Ava. Ava's she's got extra sensory perception or something.
Chad said hi back.
I don't know. Oh, is there that button?
Well, there should be.
No.
There's chat over on the side.
Oh, I didn't see
Oh,
that.
see.
Oh,
It's hard to see if you're on a phone.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Hi, Chad. We love you.
Miss you, Chad.
At first, when Corgan, the way she was sitting there, and I was like, what kind of glasses is Chad wearing? Just the way, because on the phone, the way it looked. And then I was like, oh, that's not Chad. But look at it. Look at the three of us. Well, actually, but don't we look alike? Especially me and you, Rick.
Oh wow, that's so weird. Almost like you had the same parents or something.
I
This is
can't
funny.
see how long your beard was.
Funny. I just pulled my beard out. Think I got them all.
Yeah, I wish Chad could be up here because I'm sure he has stories he'd like to share.
And you know what else too?
I was going to say he did try like 6 or 7 times. He just couldn't keep the connection.
For somebody who grew up where she did, had the education she did, she got around. You know what I mean? Like Florida several times, the Carolinas, North, West. Like that trip that we took out to see you in Missouri that time.
Did you move away from your microphone or something? You're like real tinny.
Is this better? I don't know. I've been being moved all over here.
Anyway, go on. It's funny, but we can hear you. So
is that better?
Not really.
Oh. I was just thinking about, she traveled quick, she got on an airplane like she did it all the time, or drove out, went to Missouri like it was. That's the first time that her and I ever shared a book, was on the way to Missouri. She read the book Paper Moon.
Oh,
And then she was like, you'll probably like this. I was really young then. But that's the first time I remember sharing a book. Besides those remember those magazines she used to get with love stories?
oh yeah.
That were inappropriate for someone my age, but I read them anyway. She
Remember-
never said don't read those.
Remember her and Ann Gusky, there was magazines that they subscribed to, and like mom subscribed to one, Ann Gusky the other, and they'd get the magazines and read them and then switch.
They did that with the nut roll and poppy seed roll too.
Aunt made the poppy seed and Mom made the nut roll. And then they'd trade like 2 and 2 or something.
Oh, and Chad replied he never particularly liked you guys. Uncle Dan would not lie.
Yeah, okay. We know. We know. All right, well, are you guys watching the big old game or what?
I'll probably have it on while I'm doing other things on the computer.
I just found out about it this morning.
I'm hoping there's a good movie on. I have no interest in it, so.
You don't watch football at all?
No, I can't get into it, sit and watching by myself, so.
Growing
Yeah,
up, surrounded by football and Steeler country and everything, PO games, I finally learned something about football. Like, Bob's taught me every year I learned like something new, and then they go and change the rule the next year, but whatever. But I never really knew football. Like I would be like, yay! And I would always cheer for the person who had the ball. Or the color uniform I liked the most. But now, and then I used to argue and be like, what do you mean unnecessary roughness? This is football. Isn't that the point? And now I'll be like, that was unnecessary. Where's the flag on that?
you know something I remember, said about how Daddy worked away all the time and stuff, and he'd usually get home. I think it'd be like 8 or 9 o'clock on a Friday, and usually when he was working up Tioga, then it was always with a bucket of chicken. But when I played football, he made every home game, which meant he had to hurry up and get all, because Friday was like sort of big work day for him too, because that was when he'd have to do all the time sheets and that kind of stuff. And he made sure he got everything done so that he could leave a couple hours earlier to be back for the home games.
Well, I think I've told you this, Danny, but Rick liked this.
I thought Danny was like the star football player of PO because they would, everybody would be screaming, everybody, defense, defense. And I knew Danny was defense.
Like, that's what I knew. And everybody, Brillos, they all sat together.
And I thought that they were just all cheering Danny on.
Whether he was on the field or not, defense, defense. I was like, that's my brother.
Yeah.
That's my brother. I didn't know they met everybody. Funny. Mary, do you have a first memory of Grammy at all? Or just always?
No, she was just always there. Like, I can't think of a first memory. I can remember sitting in the kitchen in the Lingle Street house.
Railroad
and
Street.
Eating Railroad Street. And eating Cheerios, but they weren't ever the same sort of Cheerios that we got at our house. There were like lots of different colored Cheerios.
Fruit Loops.
No, no, I know that they were Cheerios, but they were like whole wheat or something. There was like regular Cheerios and then like dark Cheerios and then like medium Cheerios. And I like thought that those were like only Grammy cereal, but I saw them in the store a few weeks ago. They like actually are real Cheerios. But that's what Grandma always had. That was like the cereal that she would give me. And then I would go watch Fraggle Rock, and the TV was on the floor.
Console.
Too heavy to hang on a wall.
Yeah, the TV was like a dresser.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like, Barbara, go change the channel. We had like 3.
That's back whenever you get that nice big fancy console TV, and then when it broke, you'd get a portable that you just sat on top of the console TV.
So I was thinking about just how different it was and how fast it changed from like the Monday the guy from Mike's Cleaner would come and Thursday he would drop off. The Avon lady would come, the Fuller Brush man would come.
Yeah.
Some guy drove around in a truck with like magic on it.
That was old man Brillo with the vegetable truck. That was Geraldine Brillo's husband.
Oh really? It was just like times were so different. I was growing up, especially for me being a townie, because I didn't know any different from Bridgeport or Penn 5, you know. Growing up in town, being a townie, and how different even today. First of all, I can think of all the trees, and it kills me that there's no trees. But just how different from then to now it was. And then when I think about, hey, keep it off my lawn, George Tingle,
Yeah.
because you didn't step on his grass at all. But yeah, just like so different from then. It wasn't that long ago, right? 50 years hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Do you remember the 4th of July when Daddy was sneaking George Tingle shots of whiskey, which I realized after I think he might have been an alcoholic, and I think that's why Marietta, wasn't that his wife's name?
Yeah.
She was so against him drinking, but and you could tell George was drunk because he was out there waving people in to park in his yard for the parade.
Not sending them away.
Yeah.
Well, he had lots of parking, that's for sure. I was just telling Bob the other day about how Matthews's did their best to put the hole in the ozone on their own by all the spray starch and Aquanet. Because remember, Shirley, her hair was up all the time. And then they would take, and all of a sudden you'd hear Mom go, quick, get the clothes, get the clothes, get the clothes, because they'd go burn their fire. And it would blow right on the laundry. We'd have to quick run out and get our laundry. And then all of a sudden we hear, boom! Because they burnt their hairspray cans and their spray starch cans, and they just put them all in their burn barrel. And the whole neighborhood would like explode.
Speaking of,
like, go get those clothes, get those clothes, get.
Speaking of laundry, I remember whenever Daddy was in Phillipsburg Hospital, and Mr. Dixon that lived just down the street from us, he worked down there in the kitchen, and he would go up and visit him every day, and a lot of times he'd sneak stuff into his meals.
Are you thinking of that across the street? Webster. Bud Webster.
Oh, I was thinking it was.
He worked at, Bud Webster was in the kitchen at the Phillipsburg Hospital.
Oh, okay. But he went in the one day and he says, I'm calling the cops on your wife. He's like, why? He said, they're gonna take her away in a wagon. He said, she's crazy. It was like, 15 degrees outside. She had clothes out on the line. It always amazed me though. She'd hang those clothes out and they would freeze, and you'd bring them in. They'd be stiff as a board. And I always thought, science would tell me you've got these frozen clothes.
They're wet.
They're gonna warm. Yeah, as soon as they warm up, they're gonna be wet. No, why were they dry? I never figured that out. And it was probably just part of her,
the
witchcraft.
Hey, there you go. Yeah,
that's how I was going to bet you
carry
before.
them under your arm and they'd be frozen straight.
That's what I was going to bet you before when you said about y'all being witches. I always like there's a and I'm going to tell this anyway. There's an old meme I always liked, and it says the only B word you should ever call a woman is beautiful, because bitches love to be called beautiful. Hi,
Hi,
Ava.
Ava.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you know my brothers? Those are my brothers. My brothers are bigger than your brothers.
Yeah, but they could probably take us out though.
Yeah, I wouldn't need both. I wouldn't need it. Just need one, maybe the smallest even at this point. Joey has guns, right?
He does.
He really has muscles.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. Well, he works really hard, Joey. Well, they all do, but he's a man, with muscle. Yeah.
Macho, macho.
So, hey, Mary, what are you doing this week? I have a couple things for the kids for well, I only have one little thing for Valentine's for them.
This week.
I got them candy because you love giving them candy. They hear me? I forget that they hear everything.
They don't listen.
Well, so Bob's making shrimp for the big game.
This week, I don't think I asked for a couple of skeins of yarn, and I came home with 3 garbage bags full of yarn.
From Grandma Stuckety.
Yeah.
Oh, she would be so happy about that.
So
You guys both met Grandma Stuckety. Is that for Joey?
This is Jonathan's. They wanted American flag hats. So that's what I'm making first.
That's a hat?
It will be in 1 minute.
I'm timing you.
So because Ava and Silas have their hats already, so I was like, well, you guys pick out which yarn you want, and I'll do yours next.
Pat would love that, Mary. She would really like that.
Then we actually went to church this morning.
What church?
Catholic church. And when we got in the car, the song on the radio was How Great Thou Art,
Ooh,
which
I got another
was like
story.
her favorite song. And in the bulletin, it says that they're looking for a music manager. And I was like, well, if that's not a sign, because Joe's little brother is talking about how he wants to move up here so much, and that's what he does, and he sang How Great Thou Art at her funeral last week. I was like, it's a sign. Come up here right now. Come be with us.
I don't think music manager for the Catholic Church in Margaretville would support his. He would have to get a job at the boating cone too, or at the sewer plant in town. They're hiring $17 an hour apprentice, and you don't have to have a license or anything.
So I got another
7 to
story.
3. Okay, go.
Speaking, and I don't believe in the signs and all that stuff. And this isn't really a mom story or anything, but it's kind of a. But anyway, I always remember this. I remember Barb's wedding, which I always thought was a cool wedding just because of like you having Mickey and Minnie at the reception and stuff like that. But I remember bright, sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. It was a perfect day to have something like that. And we have the thing in the church. And I always remember we walked outside and this light sprinkle came. And Barb started to like cry. And I was like, what's going on? She said, one day me and Daddy were out sitting on the porch and we talked about reincarnation. And I asked him what he would want to come back as. And he said, a summer shower. So it's kind of like,
He said rain because then I would never die again.
so it was sort of like his blessing.
Yeah.
And his blessing held up for about 20 years.
Or even longer. Yeah, yeah, just because we're not married, we're still like pals, you know.
I always said,
I can't shake the guy.
I always said I didn't have to get married or anything because I know what my life would have been. You get married, you have a son, you get divorced, you get married again, and you have a daughter.
Yep.
Because it's like that's what all three of you did.
Yeah, but if you got married, you would have probably had like identical triplets or something.
Well,
Really threw that.
I always said the perfect life, and it's like first of all, it's not something you can control, and I mean perfect life for me, and also if you could control it, where would you ever find a woman who'd put up with it? But I thought I'd love
Totally.
to just go and pump out like 4 sets of triplets in 4 years. And
Yeah, that woman would leave you with the 12 children. Or 16 or whatever.
You have your own football team then.
yep.
What?
Well,
Huh?
if you're not gonna listen to us, we're not gonna talk to you.
I was listening to him. He got quiet.
No. Well, I thought maybe you'd notice how good your mother is at math. 4 times 3 is 16.
She already knows my math skills.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mary's
there's
really, really good at math until she started to teach math.
there's a story that's totally second generation, but I love. Speaking of Mary and stuff, is I remember when Miko moved in, and Yins were giving him orientation, and Barb says, "Oh, we should test the smoke alarm so he'll know what it sounds like." And Mary says, "Yeah, he won't have heard it because you haven't cooked since he's been here."
I still have that skill, by the way. Some things you just. So, hey guys, can we do this again sometime? But I have to go to the bathroom.
Well, I'll mention one other thing before that. I always like when you and Norma went on a trip and you brought her back a toy iron, and she's like, "What is this?" I was
She's
going
like,
to say,
What is it?
I was going to say that we could always like do just like family meetings like this and stuff.
I like it. I do like it a lot. Especially late. Where'd you go? Especially lately because I've just been feeling very sad.
So if we can get squeezed in around Toby's sports, Courtney would probably join in too.
I was going to ask about him today. I thought for sure we'd see his little face poking up.
Basketball yesterday, basketball today.
That's cool.
By the way,
He's cute. He's cute.
I was going to say I'm going to go ahead and make this public. By the way, I don't think we said anything that we'll have to worry about anybody.
Being held against us.
Yeah.
No, this
Which
was
is
fun. and
shocking
I'm happy
because
we did it
my mother's here, and usually she does say something inappropriate.
at least once.
Before you
I
go,
get a
Barb,
lot of mom. The kids are right there.
We were talking about you in church and how you were always so bad and you never stopped talking all throughout church. And my kids who don't go to church very often were much better behaved in church than you.
You should have seen me at Connie's funeral playing with her great granddaughter. I think about that now. Like, you think I would have been the one, like behaving, but you're right. I'm an instigator. An hour's too long to sit still and sit quiet. They should try breaking it up. They should make you like get up and down a few times or something.
Yeah, like stand and sit and kneel and stand and sit and kneel.
Yeah, that would make it easier. All right, listen, I gotta go. I gotta go. So-
Rick was trying to say something to you first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When you get a chance, write down your recipe for sauerkraut soup.
Oh my God, I can't write that down.
Contradiction stew.
That's what Joe calls it.
Oh,
Maybe I should just do a video of the soup.
I was just going to say we could just do a video and post it because I often say to people, you know what you'd like is my mother used to make sauerkraut soup. You could just say, go to YouTube. Oh,
Because it's right, Mary. It's like
That-
how
we
do you
totally
write
do
that
that.
down? How do you
No,
write
you-
that down?
you know what you could do is actually make it and do a video on making the sauerkraut soup.
Wow, good job on the hat.
Thank
We
you.
could do that, Mary. Everybody in her family loves sauerkraut soup.
We this isn't all of it. It's gonna have a blue rim, and then the pom pom's gonna be blue and white.
I love it.
And once
You want to
again,
make soup?
another
Yeah.
another Grammy genetic thing with the crafting and stuff.
Yeah, but passed me up. So I'll start getting all the ingredients for the soup.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It would be fun. We'd do that. It doesn't hurt to make another that.
but because the only thing
Yeah,
I'm not sure of is the roux. How she would do that roux before. Because the sauerkraut, that's easy to cook.
Well, that's how everybody knew it was almost time to eat from the smell of the flour burning. Because you
Remember
just
this-
burn the flour in a dry pan.
Remember to say goodbye to Chad.
I love you,
Oh, God.
Chad.
Bye, Chad.
And then add a little bit of hot broth until you get a little paste, not too loose, not too thick. And then just start incorporating that into the pot of soup. That helps.
Because
thicken
first you have to make sure it's really, really dry and burnt, and then you have to make it wet.
and drain the beans because they're gassy. Even though it's a pot of sauerkraut, drain the beans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. I think I could do that. It would be so much easier than once you hear all the steps. You're like, yeah, you can't write that down.
I'm going to make one prediction before we sign off too. I'll bet you in no time at all of us will be going, how could I not have thought of that story? Or how could I not have?
Well,
you know.
I'll start writing stuff down actually because I can't remember anything. But I love you guys. I've got to go. I love you.
Yep.
Let's
love
talk
you.
soon. Thank you, Danny.
Yep.
I don't know how to turn this off, but it don't matter. I got it. Move, Max. Move, Max.
Well, I can kick her out.
Vote her off the island.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool to, especially since we're kind of scattered around. This would be a cool way to get together every once in a while.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Wait, come. I'm not. Okay.
It'd be fun to, you figure like on like a Christmas afternoon or something too. Like going, oh, look what Toby got. Oh, here's what Ava got. And,
Yeah. Toby is so cute. I love seeing his pictures.
I got a message from CJ the one day said, I heard you're going to be talking about my great grandmother. I'll be interested in seeing that. I didn't know if he might tune in today just to watch from chat, but
He amazes me. Chad, you have an awesome kid.
Chad says bye. I'll try again next time.
Oh, thank you.
Oh well, I guess I might as well.
Oh, so nice.